Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Mexico. Bienvenidos a Mexico. We are here in Tijuana, Mexico, and today I'm going to be giving you guys a comprehensive, everything you need to know guide about visiting the city of Tijuana. Before we jump into it, I want to let you guys know that I make videos like this on my channel all the time. I've also been road tripping across the United States of America and now Mexico for the last like 2 weeks. So make sure that you subscribe to this channel so you don't miss a single video from here. And don't forget to turn on that notification button so you get notifications directly to you when a new video is uploaded. And with that being said, let's jump right into everything you need to know about Tijuana. So, Tijuana is a city in Mexico, a northern border city with San Diego. And actually, Tijuana is the busiest border crossing in the entire world with over 300,000 people crossing per day. Now that obviously varies, especially in times like this when I'm going in, because I happen to be here right now on a water shortage, so there's no water in the city of Tijuana for 5 days, no running water. So things like that might affect how many people cross per day. But that being said, it's still a hustling and bustling city on the border of the United States of America. The way I like to do these everything you need to know guides is by breaking them down per sub-subject. So we're gonna start off with location. Where is Tijuana? So Tijuana is the most northwestern city in Mexico. It is located on the Baja Peninsula. And the Baja Peninsula is basically the strip of land that shoots out of the bottom of California and shoots all the way down into the Pacific Ocean, creating its sort of own magical mystery land of Mexico. Similar to the Yucatan and then central Mexico, Baja Peninsula is kind of its own special place, with the end of the tip locating in Cabo, which is a huge vacation destination for a lot of people. Now what is special about Tijuana? Well, because it is on the border of San Diego, a lot of people come here to get their shopping done, to buy medicine, to go out and drink, to party, because things happen to be a lot cheaper here. And also for people in the United States who might have certain restrictions on things, Mexico might be a little lighter on it, especially alcohol for minors. 18-year-olds will cross the border from San Diego all the time to come drink and party for a weekend and then head back home the next day or even the same night. The border crossing tends to be very simple for US citizens. When you cross in, you actually don't pay any fees and you don't even get your passport checked. You just drive right in. It takes literally 15 seconds and you're in Mexico. Holy shit, we're in Mexico, guys.
We're in Mexico.
Nobody checked our passports. It's actually a very surreal experience just crossing the border without anybody checking you. But coming back in, we've heard nothing but horror stories of it taking forever, long wait times, and messy journey to get back into the United States of America. So obviously today when we cross back in, we'll have to be dealing with that, but that's okay because we're excited for the journey anyways. Besides that, Tijuana has a lot of American influence in the city because it's so close to the border. So a lot of people speak English here, which is really cool. And the location is beautifully placed on the beach. There's actually areas of Tijuana which is a little more inland, but areas like Playa de Tijuana which are absolutely gorgeous. That being said, Tijuana is also a fairly large city with a population of over 1.3 million people living in it. You'll find a plethora of restaurants, hotels, malls, no matter what you're looking for, whether it's vacation, a little more urban exploring, that city sprawl, or you just want to relax. Tijuana pretty much has everything in the immediate surrounding. Some other locations for you to think about when coming to Tijuana, which are going to be roped into this video, are Rosarito, more notably Playas de Rosarito, which are basically the beaches of Rosarito. This is a tiny little seaside town, and we're going to talk about it in a minute when we get into the attractions of things to do near Tijuana, as well as Ensenada, another beach town that's really close to Tijuana. With that being said, Mexico is one of my favorite countries, so I'm excited to jump into the next sub-subject, food. Food in Mexico, especially in Tijuana. Tijuana is actually one of the capitals of tacos in Mexico. I didn't know that till I arrived here, and boy was I surprised. Mexican food is freaking amazing. It is one of the best cuisines on planet Earth, and it's such a beautiful natural blend of foods. And that's what most dishes are like in Mexico. They're a blend of all those flavors, or a blend of all those tastes coming together in a beautiful package. Let's start with the obvious. What dish do you have to try when you come to Tijuana? Tacos. You gotta get some tacos. The tacos here are amazing, and I actually have a list of tacos for you guys to try. When you're coming to Mexico, if you're coming to Tijuana in general, you're gonna have to try these types of tacos. The asada tacos, cabeza tacos, suadero, and lengua. They all have insanely different flavors, but they're really delicious in their own right. It is something I highly recommend. Take a few hours just to taste the tacos if you're here. Trust me, your boy Tal's got your back. You're not going to want to miss this. As well, you can try some burritos, quesadillas, even tamales, which you will see people selling on the side of the road. There are the more Americanized hot dogs and hamburgers on every street corner here now, as well as a place I want to significantly mention right now, which is called the Telefonica Gastro Park in the city. This is kind of the hipstery vibe of Tijuana. It is kind of almost like the urban way to get food in Tijuana. This basically is a place of cargo ship containers kind of stacked up, giving you options of food from poke bowls to tacos, burritos, hamburgers, veggie options, vegan food, whatever you really want. They got it all in the Gastro Park. It is very, very delicious place to get some food if you want to try what more of Tijuana's urban flavor would be. As well as in with food, I definitely recommend trying tequila. I tried it for the first time when I was here for the first time now, and it is a pretty crazy alcoholic beverage. I highly recommend it. And don't miss out on agua de Jamaica or Jamaica juice. Jamaica is this beautiful juice, delicious sweet juice that Mexicans make. It is so yummy, it complements almost every meal. That being said, there's food literally sold on every single corner. If you want to eat cheap, just shop at a supermarket, or if you want to just enjoy a family cooked taco, family cooked burrito, just buy them on the side of the road. There's tons of restaurants everywhere. Obviously, do your due diligence to make sure where you're eating is safe and clean. One of the best key features is just make sure there's a lot of people outside of where you're eating. That is a good way to make sure that that place is good and safe and people are coming back to that place. So just take that as you will, and let's jump right out of food to costs. All right, let's jump into the cost. What will it cost you to visit Tijuana? Well, one of my favorite parts about visiting Mexico is comparatively to the United States of America, prices here are very cheap, especially for the quality of things that you buy, whether it comes to food or accommodation or just shopping for souvenirs. Things here tend to be of relatively good quality and for a very, very cheap price compared to US prices. So if we want to compare this directly to San Diego, the city right behind me right now, a night stay in San Diego will roughly cost you $50 to $100 for very basic accommodation. In Mexico, you're looking for something around $20 to $30 for really, really nice accommodation. You can even get things for as low as $10 to $12 when it comes to hostels. We're going to talk more about accommodation when we get to the accommodation sub-subject of this video, but just so you know, costs very, very basic for accommodation. Food, you can eat a very, very nice meal for about $1 to $3. A basic taco that's packed with a lot of meat and other things will cost you $1. If you want to really super fill yourself up, you can pay up to $5 to $10 and you'll get a delicious meal that you are going to be 100% filled up on. Alcohol as well is very, very cheap here, and the basic attractions, tours, whatever else you want to do is pretty cheap. In Tijuana, there's not a lot of options, I think, for tours, but still you can expect things to be relatively on the low end. If I would give you guys a day budget, you can probably look at spending somewhere between $50 to $100 maximum if you're on like a high-end budget, but you could get away with easily spending $10 or even less a day if you're here on kind of that budget backpacker. For me, there were days here where I only spent like $2, so just keep that in mind. So budget yourself out a nice budget for Tijuana, and let's get right into our next sub-subject, which is going to be accommodation. So as for accommodation, where can you stay here in Tijuana? Well, obviously my biggest recommendation always when I make these everything you need to go guides is get an Airbnb. Airbnbs are super cool ways to interact with locals who own houses in the areas that you're staying, as well as sometimes those Airbnb hosts will end up being your friend or even your tour guides impromptu. Obviously there's no guarantee, but Airbnbs also provide you with a place usually to stay that's very secure, comforting, nice. I always recommend it. So if you're coming to Tijuana, my first recommendation would be get yourself a nice affordable Airbnb. And as well, if you're coming with friends, you can rent some Airbnbs like where we've stayed for $100 a night, something that you can split with like 6 or 7 people and stay in a beautiful, beautiful place right on the beach. There's really no excuse. If you're coming to Tijuana, you're going to stay with an Airbnb. And a little surprise for you, if you are coming and staying with Airbnb, make sure you use my code down in the description below. You'll get $40 off whatever your first Airbnb is. I use Airbnb all the time, so you know you have a super cool guarantee from me, as well as we partnered with an Airbnb company when we were here in Tijuana. So a link to that will be down in the description below if you guys want to check them out. Beautiful apartments, beautiful places to stay. Just make sure you're using my code so we all have that Airbnb discount and enjoy a beautiful Airbnb here in Tijuana. But that being said, there are high-end hotels in Tijuana if you want to do accommodation. They'll cost you something around the $150 to $300 a night mark, just depending on where you stay, what kind of room you get. As well as hostels, there's really only 1 or 2 in the entirety of the kind of the Tijuana area, and they all go for around $10 to $12 a night, maybe $14 on the high end. And besides that, that's what you're looking for when it comes to hostels, accommodation, hotels. With that being said, let's jump into our next sub-subject, transportation. How are you gonna get around when you come to Tijuana, or how do you even get into Tijuana? Okay, so this is a tricky one. So I came into Tijuana with my car, but I've actually traveled to Mexico twice on 2 separate occasions, and once of them I was backpacking across the country, so I got to learn a little bit about how to transport yourself around Mexico. There's a plethora of ways to get around in Tijuana, especially if you're a local or a non-local, but obviously my number 1 recommendation would probably be, if you can and you're only coming in here for a short amount of time like we did, is just bring your own car if you can, whether that's renting a car or bringing your actual own car that you own. It'll make things a lot more simpler when getting around, make things cheaper when getting around. It'll provide you with that safety, and you won't have to worry about being in public with things that you own, valuable things. It's a nicer and cooler way of getting things done. It also gives you that freedom of exploration. You can go around wherever you want, whenever you want, without having to adhere to any specific schedule, taxi company, or whatever it be. That being said, you can actually take direct shuttles from San Diego to Tijuana. I think they cost you somewhere between the $30 to $50 mark for kind of like a day trip experience. You can also do tours, I think, that will cost you around maybe $50 to $100 a day. But getting around in the actual city, there's a plethora of taxis and buses. In Mexico, there's these things, they're kind of like big shuttle buses that load in a bunch of people, and you can get around probably most of the town like like that, or go to the different areas. You could probably realistically travel the entire country just using those little shuttle buses. They go pretty much everywhere and they are a wild ride, so I definitely recommend trying them if you want to get that full Mexican experience when you're here. As well, there are buses and an international airport here in Tijuana, so if you're going to fly in, you can fly directly into Tijuana's airport. All I would say is do your research about the type of trip you want to have in Tijuana, whether it's going to be a partying trip or if you want to explore the actual Baja Peninsula area. You'll need different types of transportation for each one of those. Remember, you can just cross the border in Tijuana by foot, so you really don't even have to bring a car. If your sole reason here is to come do some basic shopping and basic partying for a weekend, you could totally get around just using taxis or Ubers even, and find out where you want to go and how you want to go there, and that should be sufficient. And let's jump into our next subject. Let's jump into the attractions. What do you want to do when you come to Tijuana? Well, obviously visit the city of Tijuana itself. Revolucion Road is actually where it's all happening. It's kind of the popping touristy area of Tijuana. When it comes to partying and it comes to drinking and nightlife, that's where you want to be, especially on the weekend. Revolucion is kind of the area where all the youngsters go and the oldsters go. It is a place where everybody wants to party and everybody wants to get messed up and enjoy life and party. As well, explore inner Tijuana, explore the city itself, get some food, go on some food tours, enjoy yourself while you're there, get to talk to the local life, maybe haggle a little bit when it comes to buying stuff in a market, pick yourself some touristy trinkets up and enjoy them to the fullest extent. Tijuana doesn't have a crazy amount of natural formations and natural landscapes to come explore, so most of your stuff will probably be urban exploring, and really do that because it is a cool little city. When it comes to size, it's a relatively small city, so take some time to explore it, why not? As well, another area that's called Playas de Tijuana, which literally means the Tijuana beaches, where I'm currently sitting and coming to you guys live from, is a fantastic area to get your swim on. I would recommend coming here and maybe doing some beach days in the summer, but even now in October when I'm here, the water is absolutely freezing. This place sits on the Pacific Ocean, which tends to be pretty cold year-round, so you don't have my recommendation to come here and swim in swim trunks, but it is still very beautiful. The beach days here are beautiful Mexican beach days with islands off the coast. It is absolutely gorgeous, and being on Playas de Tijuana puts you in a direct route to hit up Rosarito and Ensenada. Let's jump right into Rosarito. Rosarito is a beautiful area just 20 minutes south of Playas de Tijuana. It is also a seaside town that is sprawling and slowly building up. There are giant clubs there like Papas, which is one of the most renowned clubs in this area, where a thing called Baja Fest takes place. So if you're here in that time, you want to check that place out. It's like a $10 or $15 cover charge for pool parties and crazy clubbing experience here in Tijuana. It is where more of the younger crowd is starting to head in Rosarito. But besides that, you have a beautiful beach with kind of a hippie vibe area. People are very laid back, which you'll find ceviche stands and little food stands all over the area. I highly recommend grabbing some beers, grabbing some tequila, and going and sitting down, chilling by the beach, watching the surfers, maybe even take a surf if you can. Find a surf instructor who will take you out and just enjoy the beautiful beaches of Rosarito. As well, just further south of Rosarito is an area called Ensenada. Ensenada is also kind of a Rosarito type vibe. Beaches, beach town, laid back area, places to chill, places to see. You'll want to check it out if you're in that laid back mentality. Once again, if you have that car, you can get around so easy and just travel throughout the area. But even if you don't have a car, you can totally get around with those Mexican taxis. I think that'll cover all my attractions for Tijuana. Really, when it comes to here, it's just exploring, getting to meet people, kind of feeling that different culture just close to the United States border. It's a really cool town and it's really worth visiting, but there's not a crazy amount of things to do. It's not overwhelming like visiting Mexico City or the Yucatan Peninsula, where there's literally Mayan pyramids every 3 seconds in the jungle and you can do non-stop outdoor activities. Tijuana is pretty tame when it comes to that aspect, but I'm sure if you venture further down into the Baja Peninsula, you'll find tons of things to do. All right, let's jump into our next subject, which is going to be people. Who are the people of Tijuana? The people of Tijuana are the Mexicans, the beautiful Mexican nation. I love the Mexican people. They're so freaking amazing. Mexican people have to be some of the kindest and warm-hearted and nicest people on planet Earth. They're hardworking and they're loving, and you're gonna want to hang out and interact with them. Please feel free to ask people on the street. Just talk to people, strike up conversations. People in Tijuana have been super talkative so far. Because this place is a border town, there's a lot of American and English influence here, and so a lot of people speak English comparatively to other parts of Mexico. So don't be surprised if a random local just comes up and starts recommending things to you in English, which has actually happened to us many times since we got here. It's actually a really cool way to make friends and get even more in-depth when you meet locals here. But the Mexicans here tend to be a mix of Mexicans that cross into San Diego and kind of live their lives inside and out of San Diego and the United States of America. Most of the people I've spoken to so far here said they have actually visited San Diego and they've been in and out of the United States a few times. And some people actually just live in San Diego, come into Tijuana for work, and then leave. So you'll get a mix of those Americans living here, those American Mexicans, and then the local Mexicans who actually live here. Those are the people of Tijuana. With that being said, let's jump into our language. What language are you going to speak when you come to Tijuana? Well, your language is Mexican? No, it's Spanish. Ladies and gentlemen, brush up on your Spanish. I'm going to give you guys 5 phrases to learn when you come to Tijuana right now. Hola, which means hello. ¿Cómo estás? Which means how are you doing? Or kind of like what's up. ¿Cuánto? Which is basically like saying how much. ¿Dónde? Which means where. And a really important one, baño, which means bathroom. Use those words to your might and brush up on a little bit of Spanish before coming to Tijuana, and trust me, you will have a great time. I am by no means a native Spanish speaker, but because I have a basic knowledge of Spanish because I've traveled in some parts of Latin America and I picked up on it. As well, I live in Miami, which is basically Cuba, so I have to kind of know Spanish for living there. It's really, really fun being able to communicate with the local people here, kind of learning more about their way of life via their language. So I highly recommend learning that Spanish language before you come, and let's jump into our last sub-subject. Safety. So probably immediately when I said Tijuana, a bunch of red flags popped up in your head and you were like, oh my God, Tijuana is a super unsafe to go place. Or you've actually been to Tijuana and you know how safe it actually is. Here's the deal. A lot of times in America, we tend to brush Mexico with this really plain brush saying Mexico is super dangerous. Let me tell you something right now. Mexico has to be one of the safest and friendliest countries I've ever been to in my life. Don't let the news and online nonsense let you believe that Mexico is a super, super dangerous place. Yes, there are parts of Mexico, like every country on planet Earth, that are dangerous. Even some parts of cities that are dangerous that you're going to want to avoid. Just use your head, use your knowledge, and don't brush the Mexican people and the Mexican country with one giant stroke saying, this place is dangerous, I'll never visit. Things like pickpocketing and gang violence is definitely an issue throughout Mexico. Tijuana, from what I've understood, has calmed down in recent years a lot. It used to be a lot more dangerous. It went through a period where it was safe, dangerous, and now it's really safe again from what I understood. I'll tell you what, being here for 2 days and exploring a lot of the area, I have felt not only have I felt very safe, I felt very welcomed and loved here. So once again, this is not me saying that Mexico is 100% the safest country in the world, but all I'm saying is give it a shot and just do your research before coming here. Don't miss out on the opportunity. Please come visit Mexico, love Mexico the way I do and so many other people do. And with that being said, we're gonna end this everything you need to know guide. I hope this guide was helpful to you, especially if you're planning a trip to Tijuana. And I want to remind you that I make videos like this on my channel all the time. So make sure you are subscribing to this YouTube channel so you don't miss a single video from here. I got guides like this coming out all the time, and especially my whole road trip series across the United States. So you're not gonna wanna miss that. And with that being said, I'm gonna say I love you a long time, and we're gonna see you in the next one. Goodbye, Clats.